Hi, this is Mike Protack here to talk about some more issues that affect our great state and our great nation. And one of those things is being bandied about in sort of the back rooms now in Congress, and certainly by the President, but not in public, is taxes. As far as most of us know and can see, deficits are here to stay for many, many years, and in fact, nobody projects deficits going down, and all we see is them going up, which is, it beholds an answer we don't have yet. What do you do about this thing? So, most of us are thinking there's going to be a new tax coming our way. Unfortunately, most people in Washington, believe it or not, I know those of you who are skeptical think, how could they possibly be talking about new taxes? Well, they are. And it's something called a value-added tax. Now, why is this being considered? Well, some people's answer is let's tax rich people. Well, quite honestly, there aren't enough rich people. And rich people, if you look at the IRS website, wealthy people carry an unbelievable amount of burden right now with taxes. So there just aren't enough rich people to punish them, if you want to call it that, to pay for this deficit. There's just not enough people. Low-income people, I mean, the bottom 50% of taxpayers only pay 5% of income taxes. So that's not going to work either. And if you go raising taxes on middle-class people in a more visible way, in the way of income taxes, you will have broken every campaign promise there is, as the President has said. He made a promise he wouldn't do that, and he's going to go against it. He's just going to go about it in a much more cloak and dagger way than income taxes. So where's all this going? We have to look at what he has said, because he's been unwilling to reform entitlements. Social Security, Medicaid, Medicare, and in fact is adding a much larger entitlement, which is going to cost somewhere between $1 and $1.6 trillion, called health care. Now, that's still under debate right now, what shape and form that's going to be, but the House Obama plan adds a considerable amount of debt, and according to the Congressional Budget Office, does nothing to reduce the federal obligation in early years or out years. So that's a problem. So without entitlement reform, we're stuck. And what are we going to do? Because right now, it's hard to believe, for every dollar we spend at the federal level, we're borrowing 46 cents of that dollar. That's a lot of money. Imagine if almost half of your expenses in your household were paid for and put on a credit card. Let me say that again. If almost half your expenses in your household were going onto a credit card tab, that might get you through a few months, maybe even a few years, I don't know. But certainly the federal government, at some point, the international markets are going to say, time out, we can't do this anymore. When that will come is somewhat a moving target, but at some point, countries that can afford our debt, Saudi Arabia, Japan to some degree, and certainly China, are going to say, stop, we can't do this anymore. And with no plan in place, something called the value-added tax. Do your research on it. It's coming your way. Somehow, some way, President Obama is going to propose this. European countries where I've traveled extensively have been using this for almost 50 years. It's a general sales tax of sorts. You can call it a national sales tax, where a tax is put on every level of production. As it moves along the production line to become a consumer good, there's a tax imposed. Now, the important thing to understand is this is not a tax on business. It's a tax passed on to consumers. So you and I will pay this extra amount. It is a hidden tax and a very regressive tax because it's consumption driven. In other words, you purchase something, you pay a tax. For instance, a 25% rate, which is not out of the ordinary. I think the European Union countries, it's mandatory somewhere around 19%. So we would be somewhere around 25% if you had your bathroom renovated, and say it cost $5,000. Well, in reality, the price is going to be more. It's going to be $62.50 because you're going to be paying that value-added tax. A gallon of milk, same thing. It'll go up that much more. So consumers pay this tax because at every level of production, a little government fee is added on. So again, the unwillingness of the federal government in any shape, form, or fashion to reform entitlements. Instead, we're adding entitlements. No form of plan to redo how we do taxes for savings, growth, and investment. This value-added tax is coming our way. Don't know when. President Obama probably unlikely to do it in his first term. If he wants a second term, but it's certainly coming your way. And for those who don't think it's true, there are people on the President's staff, there are specialties value-added tax. 2 or 3 U.S. senators have already said a value-added tax with a high income tax for high-income people would get us out of this fix. So it's coming your way. Unfortunately, folks, it's not a silver bullet. It's not going to punish the rich. It's going to hurt the middle class, and it'll certainly hurt the lower class income earners of America. Because again, it's consumption, what you buy, what you purchase, and that's where the problem is. So I encourage everybody to take a look at the value-added tax. It's coming. Unfortunately, the federal government has seen their way to do nothing about our deficit. It keeps growing, growing, growing. And for those of you on the Democrat side, you'll say, geez, President Bush left us a big deficit. Yeah, he did. Absolutely. And what did President Obama do? He made it even larger, almost doubled it. And those deficits are going to continue. So take a look at the value-added tax. I think once you see it, you're going to be unhappy. But it's coming our way. If you think the town halls on healthcare this year in the summer are bad, wait till we start talking about the deficits and how we're going to pay for that. Anyway, thanks for tuning in. Mike Protack. We'll have more issues coming.